Hello, this is Eric Galvez with the Disability Guerrillas Leaders of the Resistance podcast, and I've got some great guests today. I've got Donna Case and Marra Robert, both from U of M Flint Occupational Therapy program. So I'm very excited to chat with them just because I was a occupational therapy patient probably about 20 years ago, and I hadn't had a whole lot of exposure to OT. So I'm very excited to chat with these two. And yeah, we'll get started. And actually, Donna, do you think you could introduce yourself?
I'm Donna Case. I've been an occupational therapist for over 40 years. I clinically worked for the majority of my career with children in the school who have severe emotional and physical impairments. And I worked part-time as well in home care with adults with progressive neurological diseases for the most, also individuals with very rare diseases. And I kind of wanted to go into home care because I felt like the work that I was doing with really what we call in the schools low incident population, so pretty rare combinations of diseases and disability. Maybe if I ever wanted to do something other than the schools, I was losing my general skills. However, I found that wasn't the case, that a lot of the things that I was doing with my students in the schools to allow them to live a meaningful life, to prepare them for a meaningful life when they exited or left school, were very similar concerns and things that people, adults in home care, also wanted for themselves. So I have been at the University of Michigan Flint Occupational Therapy program this is my sixth, seventh year, and I love working with future occupational therapy practitioners and learning, just seeing where the profession is going. And my particular area of expertise is assistive technology and technologies for people with disabilities. And so that's been a great ride for me from my beginnings of my career till now, to see the technology changes that have come out that are allowing people with disabilities to do the things that they want or need to be able to do, that 40 years ago we did not have the technology that would allow them to do that. So it's a great time to be an OT.
That's great. Oh, thanks, Donna. Actually, Marra, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, I'm Marra Robert, and I've been an occupational therapist for 10 years now. And my clinical background is also in pediatrics, but I worked at an outpatient clinic. So I saw kids in the clinic, and I also did early intervention, which is treating little ones birth to 3 years old before they go to school. And I absolutely love that. That was my passion. And I have been at University of Michigan for about 4 years now, and I'm the capstone coordinator there. So the capstone is our doctoral residency, so I have prep students for that. And I love it, similar to reasons Donna mentioned, that it is a way to kind of push her profession forward and really get to learn all these new areas, emerging practice settings of OT. It's really, really fun, and I end up learning a lot from my students, so I enjoy it.
Most of my research is community-based research, and my research looks at the technology person interface. So I have a program I work with two colleagues from the College of Innovation and Technology called Play Beyond Boundaries. And we have an advisory committee for parents of children with disabilities in Genesee and Lapeer counties. And then we also have a perfect group, and they guide us into what we do, because I don't want to ever think that I know better than the people that are living that journey. And so we developed cars for kids with disabilities, those little toy ride-on cars. A lot of children can't use their foot pedal to accelerate. So we adapt them. Next week, on the 9th of April, we will be giving children 7 cars are going out to kids, and that will make our total 19 that we've adapted already for the community in the last 3 years. So it's been really exciting. We're also working on, as a result of our parents saying, there isn't an inclusive playground in Flint or in Genesee County. We have to go to Oakland County. We have to go, Grand Rapids, whatever. So we're working right now with Mavis and Flint we've identified a park in North Flint. And the other end of my research spectrum is I work with older adults, digital literacy. So, and I work with a social work professor and a public health epidemiologist. And it really is that human and technology interface that I really love to work with. So
I'll admit I'm kind of a nerd, so like I love the technology aspect of your research. That's great. Actually, Marla, I did want to ask you, like, so how did you get involved in occupational therapy?
Well, I was introduced originally, I guess, in high school with my health science class, and I grew up riding horses and volunteered for a therapeutic barn and saw hippotherapy, which is using horses to help with people with disability, and fell in love with it. And then I kind of was like, okay, OT, PT, speech uses this tool. And kind of just shadowed around, and all of the OTs that I shadowed loved their job so much. And that is really, really important to me. And then I kind of went into college, unsure what I want to do. And I was kind of upset that you had to pick one major and like one career path, because I wanted like 10 careers. And I was really, really frustrated that I couldn't do that, right? I wanted to be a teacher, a doctor, healthcare worker, mental health, work with kids and horses, and OT kind of embodied all of it for me, all of those interests, right? Because it's so diverse. And I really, really loved healthcare, but I found myself not loving like being in a hospital. And so OT allowed me to really focus on a healthcare field in diverse settings, and really, really embodied all my interests. So I didn't feel like I had to narrow down and choose with OT.
I see. So Donna, I'm assuming you have a very similar story, but like, how did you pursue a PhD? Like,
well, my first job outside of OT school, and I've been in OT level program. So my first job was with individuals who had been removed from state-run institutions, of thousands of individuals back in prior to the early 80s in the state of Michigan. If you were born with significant disabilities and your parents needed help, the state said, okay, you give us your child, we will house them and take care of them. And many parents lost their rights, not all of them, but many did, to their child. And then the state said, well, that's not right. It's too many. There are a lot of abuses that have been purported to have happened in institutions, down those institutions. And so they ended up moving into maybe 200-bed kind of nursing home settings. And that was my first job as an occupational therapist. And I had done in my last clinical, I worked at a hospital. I like Marra. That's not something I really wanted to do. I love working in the community with people. And we thought a specialized seating system for a wheelchair was, we made our own solid seats with foam and vinyl and I got into this facility. I was the only OT there, and none of them could sit in a wheelchair like that. They all needed even more specialized. And because they had the unfortunateness of being born before we knew better how to position people so they're not developing legs that don't move the way they're supposed to, or that they would allow the muscles that are really strong not to overpower the weaker muscles. So a lot of them had very complex seating issues. And I was really fortunate to about 40 of the individuals that lived in that facility were still of age to go to school. I went back to school about 18 months after I got my bachelor's. The OT program at Eastern having a couple classes you could get towards a master's. And part of that at that time was that you had to take 2 concentrations as minors. And for me, I said, I don't know anything about technology. I didn't. I had never used a computer. And part of that's my age, but until I was in my master's program. And this is how I feel like it's going to allow individuals with significant disabilities to be able to do the things that they want and need to be able to do, whether that's work, whether that's leisure, whatever it is. And so and the other was research. And so I took a concentration in statistics, and I ended up getting my master's liberal science in interdisciplinary technology at Eastern. And my advisor, who I was from that program, who taught a lot of classes I took, we had people from Pfizer and Ford and all kinds. It was a very multidisciplinary program. And he would turn to me and he'd say, now, Donna, from a non-technical point of view, what do you think? So to get to the point where I am now considered an expert in technology shows that anybody can. And so that was a big part. And then I was laid off from my job as a school therapist in Wayne Risa. And so I got a job in a local district, Northfield Public Schools, and they had lost their vocational teacher who does vocational training. And we were having these committee meetings, and they'd say, we need to do this, we need to do that. And I had all of this information from when I had worked at my previous job, where we had done that. We had interviewed programs that provide job coaching. We had interviewed, students who had graduated from our program. And so they actually ended up changing the requirements for the vocational teacher position so that I could apply. And I did that for 17 years and loved it. So I ended up with an individualized interdisciplinary PhD in industrial engineering and occupational therapy, looking at work for people with significant cognitive impairments. And there wasn't a lot of research out there. And I figured if I was going to do it anyway, I might as well get a degree out of it. And I knew at some point I wanted to teach full time. So that was my journey. And I was able to immediately use what I was learning. And one of the things that I found is there's a lot of similarities between occupational therapy and industrial engineering. My engineering advisor, who I also co-taught with, used to say to me, and occupational therapists are the engineers of the medical profession, which was very high praise from an engineer. I said, probably not all of us, because you've only met people who are really interested in change. So I got my PhD in 2003, and my students at school, they had a big celebration for me, and they thought I was an actual doctor. So they would come up to me and say, my throat hurts or my stomach hurts. And I'd say, they didn't understand PhD. And I think that it really helped me refine my vision, the lens by which I look at clients, and the process by which you come from, here's this person's strengths and weaknesses. Here's what they've tried. Here's what the environment supports. And let's look at matching a technology to the individual versus asking the individual to change for the technology. And sometimes that's not possible. So I think that was really helpful for me. And I've taught at Wayne State part-time for probably 25 years. And then when I was ready to retire from the schools, U of M Flint called, and I said, perfect, that's exactly where I need to be. And I just have to tell you, the faculty at U of M Flint OT department are top notch. They're just fabulous. The oldest by a couple decades, I would say, but I learned so much from them.
Yeah.
And it's just a great mix of our backgrounds and what we're interested in. Marra and I work on a research project for a therapeutic recreational health camp up in the Upper Peninsula. It's been really exciting for me, to think about how they embed. This is a camp. It's 7 weeks, right, Marra? 7.5, 7 weeks for kids and it's free to kids in the UP because there's not a lot of therapy in the summer for them. It's been going on for almost 100 years. And I had the blessing of spending a week with students doing service projects last year up there. And they embed, when they say that therapy is everything at camp, it's everything. We don't know how many times a week do you get traditional therapy to make it successful. So lots of questions, and we're still answering and asking more questions.
Actually, Donna, I do have a question for you. So, like, I was wondering, what kind of modifications did they do in the workplace? Or, like you mentioned a while ago that you're doing.
Yeah.
Do you have specific examples?
The engineering students at Wayne State designed an interface between the scale and a communication device. And so the students wear headphones, and as they put things onto the scale, it would tell them based on the weight, hey, put some more in. Or if they got to the right amount, take the bag off the scale and put a new one on. And if they put too many in, it would say, take it off. What that did was decrease their need for constant job coaching, which is very expensive and is hard to maintain over long periods of time. If they could, you calibrate the scale to them. And what happened at J.C. Penney's was some of the people in the warehouse saw the talking scale that haven't been diagnosed as someone with a disability. And they're like, hey, we want a talking scale too, because it improves productivity and it improves quality. And they were like, we want it too. So that's, I always look for universal design as a part of whatever we do can benefit all types of people. So that was one of the things that we did with the technology. It can decrease the physical load. It can decrease the cognitive load. It really helps people.
All right, I do want to ask you. So, are you doing research right now, or what is your main areas of interest in OT?
Yeah, my interest has kind of gone a new direction, which I'm really excited about because I've been so passionate about pediatrics, especially early childhood development, for so long. My other passion is hippotherapy, so using the horse as a tool in a therapeutic environment to achieve functional outcomes. And then I branched out to working with more occupational justice populations and into kind of mental health outcomes as well. So those are my two areas. I do have the amazing research project with Donna that I'm very passionate about. So it's a little bit of everything, but kind of those are my paths that I'm very interested in right now is hippotherapy and mental health outcomes. The majority of the hippotherapy right now is more physical disability and physical outcomes, and it's amazing the results, but I'm really excited to kind of explore this gap in the research.
Do a lot of adults do hippotherapy?
Oh, yeah, and older adults too. So
really?
Like adults, because it's incredible for like balance, sensory integration, like hand-eye coordination, those sort of things are really, really great. Yeah. So there's a ton of strength too from using hippotherapy. Oh, yeah. So most, not all, but a lot of the facilities do kind of pediatrics all the way to older adults too.
Well, when I was in San Diego, I was just starting to surf. My OT over there was a big surfer too.
Oh,
so
cool.
He somehow arranged it so I was able to take my surfboard into the therapy pool and just practice paddling on it. So I love the creativity of occupational therapists. So.
Oh yeah, we even had a capstone with surf therapy a few years ago. So yeah, the sky's the limit with OT. That's how I feel.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the capstone project? Well, like what exactly is that? Like,
yeah. It is. So it's technically kind of like our doctorate residency. So it's one of the biggest things that sets apart a master's degree and a doctorate degree in occupational therapy. So it's a chance for students who gain a entry-level skills as a therapist through their didactic coursework and their clinical field works. It's a chance to get kind of beyond to the next level and really gain expertise in a chosen focus area or a passion area for them. Because OT is so diverse, it allows our students to really focus in on one area that is kind of calling to them. So throughout the curriculum, the students take courses with me to prep for this project. And then in their second year, they partner with a community site or a healthcare organization or some site that they can do this project with. They develop their own goals and objectives, and they get to do these projects and gain experience and have a benefit on the community. So it's a win-win opportunity, like doing surf therapy, right? Or going into nonprofit organizations or going into public spaces and designing, making them more accessible for people, right? So we've done this, like one of our students designed a sensory room at the Detroit Metro Airport. We've done zoos and museums and public spaces to make it more accessible for people with diverse needs. Let's do sailing, like adaptive sailing for people with disability. We've had students do, a lot of students want to do something like very specialty that already is excelling in OT, such as hand therapy, where you need more experience, or low vision, or feeding therapy, where that extra experience is really going to help them succeed. We had students do research projects. We have Donna, feel free to chime in here.
I had a student finished in the fall. He did adaptive gaming. He wanted to, develop a module for training occupational therapists. And so we were able to, through Play Beyond Boundaries, get him the adaptive controller, the switches, and he actually developed a module, worked with one of the schools in Genesee County, a center-based program, and an individual that lives outside of Genesee County, really helping. And interestingly, all of the students came from families where there was somebody in their family that gamed. We had a student who was really interested in 3D printing. We have a 3D printer in our department, but we didn't really quite know how to use it. And so she developed a module, trained all of them how to use it, ways that it could be. And in my class, that's a requirement. They have to, design something that can be used by someone in one of their clinicals. To do that, we had someone work to care youth in Flint. That was pretty amazing. Yeah. We've had end of life OT with end of life.
Even mental health settings such as substance abuse, or even, which is really cool, like sensory integration work for like adults or older adults, right? Because a lot of that gets lumped into pediatrics, but people struggle with sensory needs throughout the lifespan. So that's really great too. But I'm a firm believer that if we can set our students up with all the skills they need, and on top of that, help them find some career path that they really enjoy and they're passionate about and excited to work, I think that will only exemplify the impact will be greater because of that. Students are directly impacting people throughout the program, right? It's not just after graduation, but they're doing incredible work and impacting communities around the country while they're in the program. So that's exciting to see and be a part of.
Well, actually, I did want to ask you guys. So, like, there's a bigger push for the Doctor of Occupational Therapy. How many programs are there now?
Ooh. It's growing. When we started our program, we were the first program in the state of Michigan.
Okay.
Time, our national organization, the American Occupational Therapy Association, had said entry level would become clinical doctorate, similar to what physical therapy has. I think it's eventually going to go to only clinical doctorate program, and more programs in our state transitioning from master's to clinical doctorate. The sad part, you don't get paid more.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get paid additional doctorate over a master's. Actually, you don't get paid more than if you had a bachelor's degree. Insurances don't tend to recognize it. But as Marra has so beautifully stated, you know,
Yeah.
part of what we do in our program and in other programs is teach our students to think, to see problems, and it doesn't matter that you're the first one. And so our students have the confidence as part of the things that they go through in our program to look out and say, hey, there's a need here. Why can't we do it?
Yeah. So can I ask you guys, so how big is the OT program at U of M Flint?
So we've maxed out, our max is 40 students, and we've had kind of ups and downs with cohorts. We have about 24 students in our incoming cohort, or in our current first year.
Our
cohort.
current class,
So,
current cohort.
so it's nice to have
It's been
kind of
nice
small.
for us. We're very community minded in our program, and that I think is our strength. And we've had our dean, who is retiring, Donna Fry, has been very supportive of us. Our director, Dr. Julie Jacob, has been super supportive of us. And sometimes when you're doing things in the community, it's not as easy as something clinical where, you know, you can control the environment, you control everything. In the community, people are going to they're going to come when they can, they're not going to come when something else comes up. But that's, I think, where the needs are, especially for us in Flint. There's great needs at Flint.
I'm going to switch gears here, and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. And this is just to kind of get to know the individuals behind the researchers and the advocates. So, you know, I don't know if you've seen some of the interviews that we've done before, but they're kind of random questions. So, you know, just you know, they're peer reviewed, and you know, they're very unique questions. I'll just say that much. So I'm warning you now. Here's the first question, and we'll start off with Marra on this one. Okay. So Marra, what is your personal theme song?
Oh, I don't know if I have a personal theme song.
Well, if you have one, what would you choose?
Man, you're putting me on the spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, this is going to be super kind of. I've always been a big John Mayer fan. And I love the song that just popped in my head was Gravity, like keep me where the light is, like always going to the positive, to the light. It's a very optimistic person. Like when challenges come up, how can we learn and improve? And I just I don't know. That's what popped in my head. So that's what I'm going with.
Okay, sounds good. All right, Donna, how about you?
Wow. Well, I'll show my age. Two songs, probably I Will Survive and RESPECT, just because when I think about my clients, those are two songs that really, part of our job as therapists, because sometimes clients can't see the possibilities, right, when we first start working with them. They look at how I was before my trauma, my illness, or my injury. And I used to say to my home care clients, I didn't know you before then. And I'm amazed at how far you've come. Let's look at what you've done since I've known you. So I would say those probably are two songs, just when I put my clinical hat on, that makes a lot of sense to me.
All right, Donna, for the next question, I'm going to start with you. All right. And who's your personal hero?
Wow. Really good one. I will say, because we just lost him, Fred Salmons, the most important OT in the world for a very long time. He just was so warm and such a great mentor to anyone. When we would go to Fred happened to settle in Michigan in the later years of his life. If we went to our state association conference, you always got your picture with Fred. If you went to the national conference, he would wait at the airport with a driver, and he'd just welcome OTs, and he would take you to the conference center. And as I get older, and I think he was in his late 90s when he just died a couple months ago. That's who I want to be. I don't want to stop learning. I don't want to ever stop getting excited about things that make life better for my clients.
And Marva, how about you?
Right now, someone I've been utilizing a lot, both personally and in my career, is Dr. Brene Brown. She's a social worker, and she's done an incredible amount of research on things such as empathy, shame, leadership. And I just really, really have taken her teachings and applied them to my own life, as well as teachings in class. Like, I have my students read her Dare to Lead book. I show different clips of her, and she does amazing like TV episodes on her book Atlas of the Heart, and does a whole thing on empathy and teaching empathy and how that's a skill. So I play that for my students. And I really, really love how she teaches, because when she's talking, it's just like a conversation, and that's how I want to come across. And I've really taken a lot of very, very important lessons for her and try to apply them in both my professional and personal life.
Okay. All right, next question here, and we'll start with you, Marra. If you weren't a healthcare professional, what would you be doing professionally? Yeah, if you were an OT.
Not an OT.
Yeah.
Like anything.
Anything, like a chef or like, whatever.
I've always loved horses, so I'd be teaching horseback riding lessons, working with horses, having a farm, whatever that is. So I'd probably do that, and like some sort of teaching, because I love kids and I love education. So probably teaching horseback riding lessons.
Okay, gotcha.
Which is,
Yeah.
not too far off than that teaching than what I'm doing now, but
That's great. Yeah. And Donna, how about you?
I think I'd like to be a sociologist. I'm interested in how people live, and how environment and infrastructure and laws impact the lives of people. And it, of course, fits right along with the way that we as occupational therapy practitioners look at the world and clients. Our national association, our newest practice framework says, as occupational therapists, we treat individual clients, we treat groups of clients, and we treat communities. And I love that.
Cool.
Because sometimes the best and impact is changes. For example, the inclusive playground. I'm hoping if we get that built, it's going to change the lives of not only kids with disabilities in North Flint, but all the people that live in that neighborhood will have access to a playground to play. And we know that the research tells us kids need to be able to play, and they need to be able to play using movement and problem solving and all that. So I think I would like to be a sociologist, but really I'd like to be an OT.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Next question, Donna, I'll start with you. What is your guilty pleasure?
Chocolate.
Okay, yeah.
Dark chocolate, to be specific.
Why is everyone guilty about eating chocolate? I have no guilt at all.
No, I don't have. It's the amount of chocolate.
Okay.
I love chocolate.
Okay. Right? Yeah, then Marra, how about you?
I would say like a bubble bath, like a hot bath. Again, not a lot of guilt, but like I love like the spa, hot tub, bubble bath, all of that is right on my end.
Okay, cool. Now this next question is for both of you, and it's going to go back a little bit, but we'll see what you know. Right? Who is the 10th president of the United States?
Oh boy.
Let's see. Come on, PhDs, doctors.
Yeah, but it's not in history.
Yeah, exactly. I had to look this up too.
I couldn't tell.
Okay, here's a little history lesson for you. It was John Tyler, and he took over for William Henry Harrison, who was assassinated. So, Yeah, a little rewind, a little reminder of your U.S. history, but just wanted to see if you knew. Okay, right. And actually, Marl, we'll start with you on this question. If there was a movie biopic about your life, who would play you?
I always like Julia Roberts.
Okay. Okay.
She's a little bit older, but that doesn't matter.
Okay, that's cool. All right. And Donna, how about you? Question for you.
I'm thinking probably somebody a little clumsy because that's who I am. But I don't know. I'd like to think maybe Meryl Streep would make my life seem more interesting than it is.
Okay, that's a good one. Right. And Donna, we'll start with you on this next question. What do you like to do in your spare time? Yeah, Donna,
Well, I like to spend time with my family, and friends. I'm trying to keep my cat from walking across the screen, so because he's very interested when he hears voices. I love to spend time with family and friends. I love to read. I read a lot of biographies and autobiographies. Probably my sociologist leanings there. But I don't know that I have as much leisure time as I'd like.
Okay. All right. Yep. And Marra, how about you? What do you like to do in your spare time?
I agree. With Donna, not a lot of spare time, but I love to travel and I love to do anything outside, even going for a simple walk. I love. Or I have a daughter who's 4, so love going to the park with her and playing and just getting outside whenever possible.
Very cool. I'm gonna skip ahead. This is a very important question, so yeah, I definitely want to get your input on this. And actually, Marl, we'll start with you on this question. I'm very interested in what you have to say. But here's the question: pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes. It's not my first choice, but I like it.
Okay. All right. Yep. And Donna, how about you?
I will eat just about anything, so it's okay with me. It's like Marra, it's not my first choice, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't. If I have pizza and has it on it, I'm fine.
Yeah. That's the thing. This question is very polarizing. Some people absolutely hate it. Some people are okay with it, and some people actually like it. So, it's very interesting. And I've got one last question for you guys before we end. But see, any parting words for everyone? And we'll go ahead and start with you, Donna. Like any parting words for survivors, advocates, or healthcare professionals in general?
I would say for survivors and advocates, we need your voice. That's how we learn from you. You, Eric, know more about you than if you came to see me as a client. I don't know. I need to hear your experiences. I have learned so many modifications and accommodations from my clients that I have, of course, told them I was going to steal and share with other people and have. And that's a voice, in our profession, we're moving more towards a coaching model versus I don't think that I'm the expert when I work with clients. We're in a team together, and together we can do more than we could do individually.
Okay. Right. And Marra, any parting words from you?
I just think people, regardless, I think our world is full of diverse abilities, right? It's not one or the other, ability or disability. And unfortunately, our world right now is not designed for that, right? And so I would just say to continue to fight for it and go after what you want, because you've one life. And if someone tells you no, try again or figure out some way, or find your community and find your place, and just keep fighting for what you want regardless of anything else. And because you have one life, you deserve to go after what you want regardless of anything else.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys very much for doing this interview with me. This was great. I really love what occupational therapy does for, the disability community. So I think this is awesome. And actually, if you know any other, OTs that might be interested in doing an interview like this, that would be great. Yeah, because like I said, I'm the biggest fan of occupational therapy. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.